Basically, what do we mean by enhancing research, development, and education for health and longevity? The underlying assumption is simple. If we really mean intervention into age-related diseases, prevention of age-related disease, there's no choice but to intervene into their underlying cause or their main risk factor, which is the aging process itself. Sounds trivial, but the next step is not trivial, that we actually need to recognize aging as a medical condition that can be addressed, that can be treated, and this is a can of worms that's beginning to be open in terms of regulation, in terms of public perception, in terms of underlying definitions, scientific definitions. But still, the main idea of geroscience, of longevity medicine, is that we can achieve prevention of age-related diseases and also alleviate risk for communicable disease by intervention to aging. And I'm glad to say that also thanks to some of our advocacy, not only ours, but including ours with organizations like International Longevity Alliance, where VETEC is a federated member, by Gerontology Research Foundation, we were actually able to include aging in the ICD classification system, in the International Classification of Diseases, not as a disease, but as two types of category, as a causality category, the so-called aging-associated decline in intrinsic capacity, and as a general symptomatic category, aging-associated decline in intrinsic capacity, and as a causality category, the so-called aging-related code. So basically, even now, within the ICD system, you can address aging as a medical condition. Why aren't we doing this? Topic for a few hours lecture, but basically, we still need evaluation criteria. We still need to work on regulation and policy, also part of the multidisciplinary agenda. But generally, the feasibility is proven. Yes, it is possible to intervene into aging. Yes, it is possible to prevent multiple age-related diseases, not just one, but multiple, because aging is the common root cause. And extend healthy life, mostly shown in animal models, but there are already some clinical trials. So it is our goal, also as advocates, not just as scientists, but also as science advocates, to help move the needle, help move this research from the bench to the clinic as soon as possible. That's also the goal of this conference. Of course, there are many open questions. We lack even some of the basic definitions. How do we evaluate aging? How do we evaluate intervention to aging? The success of evaluation, the success of intervention. This is still going to become a subject of much scientific, but also policy debate. But at least we have to stimulate this debate, stimulate this discussion. And we understand, once again, this conference is under the auspices of Science, Technology, and Society. Health and longevity is not just a scientific problem, not just a problem in molecular biology or cell biology. It's a general, multidisciplinary problem involving all branches of society, as well as philosophy, economy. And if anybody asks why do we focus on longevity, on health and longevity, we can show that health and longevity correlates pretty much with every value that we hold dear. With valuation of life, with peacefulness, with education, with economic prosperity, with equality, with safety. So health and longevity is a good proxy, is a good driver for all the other human values. That's why we focus on that, and I hope we succeed in advancing this topic. And even in pure economic terms, as Richard also mentioned, and as Professor Olshansky will say later on, a founder of the longevity dividend concept, simply by being able to prevent some of the aging-related diseases, we'll be able to basically save our healthcare and welfare system. We saw during COVID a disease that affected all the people, basically brought us to our knees, brought us to the brink of an economic and social crisis. Almost collapsed our healthcare system. And that's just a small token, a small sign of what can come later. Snu nutritiona, as they say in Hebrew. What can come if we are not able to intervene into aging to prevent age-related diseases. On the positive side, if we are able to intervene, if we are able to extend health longevity, that can save our healthcare, welfare, free resources for further economic and humanitarian development. There was a calculation that for a large country like the United States, the savings could be tens of trillions of dollars if we're able to extend health longevity by 1 year. In Israel, it could be a few $billion, so also very worthy economic endeavor that should be prioritized as policy. And that's what we do, that's what we try to do also through this conference in our VETIC Association with partners, American Federation for Aging Research, others. As in any social cause, you don't just sit and wait until social benefits fall in your lap. You actually go out and promote research, development, education, practice a healthy lifestyle, engage in policy making, in advocacy, in activism. This is also how we should do it with health and longevity. That's what we also try to do with some campaigns like the Longevity Month of October that's happening right now with events around the world. Conferences, study groups are being organized specifically for October, which is recognized as the Longevity Month. Organizing conferences like this one, like we did in 2019 in Weizmann Institute with the NIH, with many of the speakers of our conference also present back then. We just have to move the needle. And everybody can be involved in this movement, not just scientists. Of course, scientists do their science, developers develop, but also every person, every layperson can be involved as a supporter, learning more about the subject even in the basic level, because for more public interest also the scientific and educational involvement will be greater. Practicing healthy lifestyle, supporting policies, supporting organizations in the field, and basically banding together, getting together in societies, in organizations like our VETIC Association, like AFAR, like International Longevity Alliance, creating a movement for health and longevity. One example, International Longevity Alliance, that I also represent, now includes 65 non-profit associations from 57 countries. The movement is really growing, building up. There are already some successes of this movement. For example, back in 2017, we were able to include aging into the WHO work program. Can you imagine? Aging wasn't a part of the WHO work program. Simply not an issue for global health, and we raised the public outcry. Hundreds of organizations, hundreds of individuals wrote to WHO, demanded it's included, and it was included. You can see the head of the WHO aging department saying, you were heard, aging is now included. That's how we can make it, by raising public support, by raising our voice in support of health and longevity. Also, as I mentioned, also through advocacy, largely aging was included as a medical condition. Once again, we won't get into semantic, disease, not disease, medical condition, something you can address by medical means, by intervention, to enable prevention, also an important effort and achievement of advocacy. And here in Israel, we also advance. Most of the funding comes at the national level, so it's important to advance policies for health and longevity, research, development, and education at the national level. Very proud that we were able to include this topic of enhancing research, development, and education for health and longevity into the Israel National Master Plan on Aging, together with partners from VETIC Association, Hanan, Alex. Also, this helped to create some calls for research proposals. Hope there will be more calls for research proposals later on. Sorry, the Minister of Science doesn't hear this, but we will let her know by various means. Recently, we created a platform called Longevity Industry Ecosystem in Israel, together with colleagues from Biogerontology Research Foundation, Dmitry Kaminsky, who also supported our conference. Basically, the idea is to help with the connectivity of stakeholders in the aging field in Israel, helping to their visibility, their matchmaking. And finally, our conference. I found in my 25 years of advocacy for longevity research, I found that conference is one of the most effective means, basically to mobilize the community, to get people together, to raise public interest, to raise governmental interest. So that's the purpose of our conference. Of course, due to the events, there could be more attendance, more interest that we hoped for. But still, I believe, once again, whatever we do will be helpful, and that's a step in the continuum. And this is the time to say thank you Thank you to all who supported this endeavor, even under these difficult conditions here in Israel now, and hopefully will continue. Thanks first of all, to VETEC Association, to all the people involved. Thanks to the Department of Science, Technology and Society, to Noah Heffron, to Noam, to Shiran Achrak, who really did an amazing job, basically pushing this conference like a bulldozer. Also, all the supporters, Shlomo Taren Foundation, who made the initial critical contribution, Sami, who is there, Sami Sigol, thanks to the Segol Network, also an amazing fundamental contribution for this conference, for the continuation of this project, that can have a Longevity Nation Conference next year as well. Thanks to American Federation for Aging Research, once again, critical strategic partner for this conference and for the further development of TABELI, Trinational American-British-Israeli Longevity Initiative, that you will hear more as we go along. Also a fundamental contribution, material contribution, thanks to Barry Weisfield and others. Thanks to Biogerontology Research Foundation, Dmitry Kaminsky. Thanks to Quadrascope, to Fiona Miller. Thanks to Larissa Epstein, the new foundation that was recently established, the Jews of Guitars Foundation. I have to say a couple more words about it. Actually, I have a slide about it. It's a new foundation in the name of Joseph Gitters. He was my colleague, my cooperator in our researches on bioinformatics of longevity. Very, very bright, well talented, amazing promise. Really the future of the field. And then he volunteered and was killed in Gaza. But still his dream lives on, and we hope through this conference and also through the prize that will be announced on Thursday, we can continue his legacy and help fulfill his dream. Thank you very much, Larissa Epstein, who is his mother, also who is present here. Thank you very much. Thanks to your support. Thanks to your support and people like you, this field will survive under any conditions, however difficult, however stressful. This field will survive for the benefit of all of us. Thank you very much. And yes, and now lunch. Not lunch, refreshments.